Good morning, and today's going to be ace 8 offsuit. We are under the gun. This 10 NL game. We folded, button raises, and the big blind calls. So the button's playing 14-5 so far over 25. I have to assume he's playing fairly tight. We do have, 3-bet range, 4-bet range, call 2-bet from blinds, limp and call to raise, etc. But I think overall we're just looking at something maybe like this, maybe about a 20% raising range. Given broadways, pocket pairs down to maybe 5 suited aces. Just kind of attack a little bit. It could be a little bit more. At 14%, he does have, probably about 12%, maybe 10% or so in early positions. Then, if he's going to loosen up, he could loosen it up to 20, maybe 25%, and so forth. We're going to keep that range. This guy is playing 96-30 over 23 hands. This guy is effectively playing 82 cards. We do have call 2 bets from blinds with queen 2 off, 10-9 off, 9-7 off. You have a limp and call to raise with king 8. You've got donks fought with top pair or better. I think that's a 4-bet range with 9-8. I don't think we could really narrow our range down. I just give him any 2 cards, and we'll go from there. Flop comes down 9-7-5. So there's a possibility for straight here with a 6-8. He leads donks flop, so he's been 50% so far. And this could be anything with this frequency. Really could be anything. So the notes that we have is top pair plus. I think it's going to be also these middle pairs and low pairs that I think. Looking at just basically betting to see what does he do. I mean, that board probably doesn't hit any of his hands. It can. He has pocket pairs, so he could have trips, could have gut shots, could have ace X, ace 9, ace 5, ace 7. So back to it. So that could give them backdoor flush draws. He could have gut shot draws. 10 jack would be a gut shot. But I don't think you really have 2 pair. I think you have trips would be your top hand. I don't think you have 6-8 in here. So he bets, and he actually bets fairly large for a donk. Oftentimes the donk bet is a bit smaller. This time he goes for the larger size. So I don't think he would do that with his draws. I think it would be just like a pair plus. And if he's playing this way with these bottom pairs, he probably is also doing with like some of the over pairs as well. So, oops. So go to here. I don't think we're going to include pocket pair below the board. Well, I guess pairs. Pair plus. So we'll do that. So 40%. Button calls. So is there ever a time when he would raise? I do think so. I think he would probably raise a set. We can scale it and say 50% of the time he would raise a set. That gives him a chance to say, you know what, this guy's donking. He may continue to bet here. If I raise, though, it's just going to let him know that I have a better hand. He's going to dump those hands. So I could kind of understand those, that approach. I would think, if you just call and the turn, I guess our question is, if we call and the turn, what turn cards are going to freeze the action? Obviously, I think a 6 or an 8 is going to freeze the action, but the question would be, would an ace, king, queen freeze the action for us? Because that's really what it is. If we call, we could conceivably call, or he could include in our range then, like an ace, king, ace, queen, king, queen, overcards. And, the turn brings one of those. He checks to us. It's going to be hard for him to call. But I think if we raise now, we get called. So I do think probably the sets we'll have to bet. Our overpairs, I think we bet. And then I think we balance it with some of the gut shots, as well as maybe some of our backdoor straight draws or backdoor flush draws that also have a straight draw. So with this villain, I don't think he's going to be calling with like the bottom pairs. Middle pair, maybe if it's part of gut shots or backdoor flush draws. So definitely, I think top pair of plus, and then we'll do like the gut shots, and we will have those ace nines as backdoor flush draws, and we'll do those broadways as backdoor. We'll include the tens, I guess, as well. All right, so 45.6%. All right, 8 of hearts. So it's one of those hands that I kind of expect would freeze the action. Doesn't. So he did bet large. That flop bet was 80% easy. Maybe 75. Maybe that was a 75% bet. So now from a 75%, he went down to a half pot size. Is that telling? Yeah, I think it is. I think if he had like a 10 jack, he'd probably still go a little bit larger. I think he's aware that a 6 now beats him. I kind of expect it. Again, I kind of expect a made hand, like straights, to continue to bet larger. So I'm going to eliminate the straight. I think sets, 2 pair, over pair, and top pair continue betting. Tens, 10-9, 10-7, 10-5. I think the open enders might continue betting here too. So we're at 47%. And then we get a raise and a call. All right, so that raise is interesting. And the question is, would he raise as a draw? I think he would with these two hands. Probably not ace 10 or king 10, because these are pairs plus the open ender. I think it's unusual though to see players like that bet. Maybe it's just a straight. Maybe that's all that he has. Yeah, I think 2 pair. We're gonna scale this down and say I think at best 50%. Same thing with the overpair. Again, I'm just trying to think about what I see players do since we're trying to read them. I don't see a whole lot of players raising with those hands in the spot because it is 4 to a straight. So I think at least at a minimum 50%, we have to remove at least 50%. And I'm going to take those out, so at least you still have like a pair, and if they have the straight, then they have a straight draw. But definitely most of it is this straight. So we change that. Yeah, most of his range will be a straight, and then you get a call here. I think everything here is the call. So if he was betting like a lot of weaker hands, I think they probably fold at this point. So I think we have our range for button. 6 gets there. which is unbelievable. Run out. All right, so now we have a bet, half pot, and a call. So here, I think just the straight bets really do, and I think the straight just calls. That is it. And it could be nothing at this point. So you have the bet. I think the nothing could call. So like playing the board. Wow, that would be a lot of nothings. Yeah, who's more likely to do that? And would we get a raise if we had a 10? I think he's more likely to do that with nothing. But then again, he already faced a raise, so I think this is a pretty good lead. This guy could be calling, just aggravated, and I think, yeah, this is probably 50-50 or so. So, all right, so we go. He has a 9-10, so he does have the 10. We have that in his range, and then this player has the 6. Okay, so that was the nothing hand. Kind of felt like somebody would do that, and the most likely person I think would be this guy, because I think if he had a 10, it's likely that he would have raised. So he could have bet, with his nothing, and then he raises. But even then, because the turn was a raise, you kind of have to put villain on a hand like the straight at that point. Again, it's not what we would do. It's what do we think villains are doing. So I think this kind of gets us down there. I would have been like really shocked if we saw different batches of hands here, because it's fairly unusual to see players do things like that. So definitely take note. For example, a player last night when I played called with a pocket pair, called pre-flop raise with a pocket pair, no big deal. But he flopped a straight. Flopped a straight. I think there was a flush draw on the board on the flop. I bet he is in position on me and never once raised. So of course I had a pair. I had an overpair. And I bet and he calls. I bet he calls. I bet he calls. I did go for a little bit of value on the river, kind of thinking that, since I don't have the top pair, it's entirely likely that villain had the top pair, and it was kind of a bad river card. But I still went for a little bit of that value. I've kind of assumed that if I get raised, I'm beat. That he did connect with that 2 pair. But I thought that was going to be a little bit better because I could control the size of the bet. Compared to checking to him and seeing, let's say, a pot size raise. So I immediately took a note, because here's a guy that took, flop trips in position on a board that had a draw and never once raised. So this guy, he called, and I don't remember what bet size that was. 2.5. 2 called, 2.5 big blind RFI called, actually buttons, 2.5 RFI in big blind with 10 of diamonds, 9 of spades. Oops. 10 diamonds, 9 spades. He is out of position. He bet 75%. Bet 50% and call. So that would be 18. Let's see here. Called 2/3 maybe. So 6.8 times 3. 18, 19, almost 20. So this would be almost 20. It would be about 20. We'll say 20 plus 13. That's 33, 34, raise it up to 20, so it's about 2/3. And called 66% raise, and then bet 50%. Yep, bet 50% on a 9 of diamonds, 7 of spades, 5 of clubs, 8 of hearts, 6 of hearts. All right, so the donk, don't really care for the donk, but it is what it is. He leads out with a lot of hands. I do understand his call on the turn. He leads out again. He improved, still has top pair, but he improved and he kind of scaled it back. He's there's 4 to a straight on there. Does he get the odds to call? That could be the question. So he only needs 25%. Well, he could be ahead with a 9. Probably not. I don't think a 10 is going to improve him. So really, he's just kind of drawing to an open ender. It would be close. Let's check it out in Equilab. All right. Good one. We will go to turn. This is the guy. We will, I don't think Equilab can account for those. So what we will do is just take those hands, just take the straight hands, be real conservative that that's all that he would raise with, and then give him 10 of diamonds, 9 of spades, with the 9 of diamonds, 7 of spades, 5 of clubs, and the 8 of hearts. 8%. Yeah, nowhere close to calling, because you're basically 10s could be a split pot. 10s could be a split pot. What happens if we change it up? Let's say it also does that with the sets. Well, what's going on here? There we go. 88-11. Yeah, so he'd have to really be adding a lot of his hands to make this, or this guy has to be really raising with a lot of his hands, and I just don't think that. I don't think that at all. I think we changed the sets to 50%. That's what it was. If we do 2 pair over pair top pair, which I guess is a realm of possibilities, still only 19%. Yeah, so this is tough for him to call. Top pair, you bet he gets raised. Probably the best play is to fold, and I think that's probably what I would do. You have to consider the implied odds though too. I think this would be the best case scenario. You need 25% equity. You don't have that, but if you end up getting another bet, if you hit, then yeah, it could be worthwhile. So it's 25%. Pot's 40. I think if you could say, if I get 15 more, geez, at least 10 more. I think if you get 10 more big, big bets. If you connect, then yeah, that'll pay off. So he did, easily got it. So that was 27. Yeah, if you bump that up to another 27, if he connects, he does have the implied odds to call. That's going to drive the pot up, but still leave his call fairly small. So, you know, he had to call 13. That was a 25%. And that's with 13. If you change it to, if you change it to 20, we could do that. All right, bring our calculator over here. I think we're done with the notes here. So it has to call 13. 13 over 40 is 32. There are 13.6 and 40.9. Whoops. Over 33%. Guess we're missing something here. 13.6 is what he has to call. Over, let's do a parentheses, 20.4 plus 13.7 plus 6.8. 33%. Yeah, 1 to 3. 3 to 1. Yeah, that's right. 3 to 1. So that's 25%. 4 to 1 needs to be 25. So 13.6 times 4 times 4, 54. So another 13 big blinds gets us to 20%. 5 to 1 is 16%. So 13.6 times 5, 68. That's 28 big blinds. That's what he got. That's what he had. So it was 16%. I mean, just barely. I think it's just barely. In any case, I think we're starting to get the picture. Probably bad to call unless you think you're getting some implied odds. And then even then, with the implied odds, you're just kind of on that border, on the edge of positive EV. So folding, I think, would be appropriate. It could be appropriate, no problem. You're playing against this player. What do I think of this player? I think the raise was fine pre-flop. I think this could have been a great spot for him to raise here, though. He leads with 10-9. I think this would be a great spot to go ahead and raise it up to 12 or 13. Donks normally tend to be weak. It's not going to fold them out, but it's going to, I mean, you have middle pair, you have the gut shot, and you have a backdoor flush draw. So you can continue betting on a diamond, you can continue betting on an 8, you can continue betting on potentially a 6, or a 7 too. 4. So 4, 10, 8, 7, 6 is questionable, but a diamond. So I think there's quite a few cards that you can continue betting with. I think you could even continue with an ace, because you could conceivably have ace 9, ace 7, ace 5. Probably closer to ace 9. But definitely diamonds is what you're looking for. So I think he should have raised on the flop. 8 comes, and that would have been a great card. You know, you raised on the flop, he calls. He checks to you, you lead again, or you bet, and you're going to bet, you know, 2/3, 75% or so. And he's probably going to call again, and he would be calling incorrectly at this point. because you're not giving him the odds to draw, and there won't be enough implied odds because you've got the straight. And then as soon as that 6 comes, if he leads into you, I think you probably think about it and you just fold. You give him credit for a 10 at that point. And I think when he calls the turn, you're thinking, okay, what the heck is he calling the turn with? He could have 2 pair. He could have that 10, that 9-10, 7-10, 10 jack possibility. And then he leads. The only people that lead on that river are those that have a value hand and they don't want to check and see it check through. That's been my experience. All right, so hopefully you enjoy this hand. If you do, you can look tomorrow for another.